Welcome to the Rant Room.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mike Starks. Welcome to the Rant Room. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into the greatest rant show in all of North America, ladies and gentlemen. The greatest rant show in all of North America, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a full show for y'all, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty of shit to rant about, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into the show, a couple of things I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. A couple of things have been going on the last couple of weeks. First and foremost, the Gingers Are Black experiment was a success. It was a success, ladies and gentlemen. There was a lady came on there, and she was on social media, on TikTok. She was claiming that Gingers are black, made a couple of videos. The shit went viral, so she was doing it to go viral. But at the same time, like, she was doing this to prove a point. I think a lot of people understood that this was an experiment, and it was a success. White people basically got on there, and with under 72 hours, they've decided to go ahead and be racist like they normally are. So they got on there, and once they were declared black and everything else, they decided they were going to go through all the stereotypes and everything about black people having fat asses and leaving their kids and every little stereotypical thing they could fucking think of and everything else. And it was kind of a divide because it was mostly white people just, oh, I'm black now, and just being racist and shit. Most of us black people, we understood that, okay, we have our own black gingers. So this wasn't like a thing where, we're calling white people gingers because we want to actually say that they're actually, black or, ginger white people are blacks. So the whole gingers are black shit was weird. But there were some white people that were all teary-eyed and very concerned that other white people were going to fuck this up for them. They're on there making videos saying, okay, well, if black people want to accept us as being black and everything, please don't fuck this up. I've never been accepted by black people or even by most white people and everything else. Cool, but the overwhelming majority of black white people who are gingers are on there. I'd never seen them in my feed at all. Most people had never seen this many white gingers just show up on their timeline feed or whatever. So your For You page is full of these people on there talking about this type of shit. They just showed up. And under 72 hours, they went ahead and was saying all types of, stereotypical racist shit or whatever. That's what they did. So we understood this was a whole experiment, and it showed and proved that that's just their nature. That's just what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, not all of them, a few of them were, like, genuinely wanted to be included as black and everything else. And I guess they were sick and tired of white people shit. They were giving their stories about how they were mistreated or talked bad or not considered fully white amongst white people or whatever else. Cool. But, the overwhelming majority of them who showed up, they were just, like, making a joke out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we understood it was an experiment. We weren't serious about it. Well, most black people weren't serious about it. There was a few of y'all trying to add white people to the fucking cookouts and all that dumbass shit. There's no invites to cookout. Next thing was Shannon Sharp was in the news. He was accused of rape, assault, battery, and causing emotional distress and that type of shit. This man is 56 years old. 56. He's in a relationship with a 19-year-old, and that sparked a whole lot of people talking about, like, basically raising the the age of consent to like 21. Some people were saying 25. That was stupid because a lot of people don't understand that the age of consent is basically there to make sure to protect minors. That's the reason why somebody with 16 can't basically do anything. So not only can you not consent, but you also can't vote. You also can't buy cigarettes and alcohol, and et cetera, et cetera. That all infirms that you are a minor. So basically we're like, oh, what if he raised it? What if he raised it? Then you're basically saying the person who's 21 is minor. It's basically everything about that has to confirm that person is a minor too. That they also can't vote. They also can't work. They also can't do all the same things that a 16-year-old can't do, because if you can't consent, you also can't do other things too that confirms that you're a minor. So people were having these idiotic discussions about raising the age of consent to 21, some to 25 and shit like that. I can see raising it to 19 or something like that, because 18 and 19 are still teenagers, still a child. But to raise it to 21 or even 25 is ridiculous. So people were having these stupid ass discussions instead of having the discussions about why people are messing around with 19-year-olds in the fucking first place. Because Shannon Sharp is a nasty nigga, and that should have been the whole discussion right there. You a nasty nigga. And whatever that girl accused you of, you did that shit. And you shouldn't have been fucking around with no white girl anyways, even if she was 29 or 39. You 56 years old, nasty nigga. But that's what happened. So, yep. And last but not least, another thing that was going on in the news was the whole 100 men versus a gorilla thing. I know I talked about that in my last podcast or whatever else, but that also kind of merged into some other shit about how people were like, well, it's going to be 100 men versus 20 chimpanzees and all type of shit. And of course, I had mentioned how women were not in on this whole thing. They were basically just like not really saying too much about this whole thing because it's basically a men's discussion. They were basically running simulations. People were running simulations to see what it looked like. People were like, well, we should probably see if we can get 100 men versus any animal, see if we can go, how that would go and all that type of shit. But of course, women got in there and got talking about, like 100 men versus accountability, 100 men versus raising their children. Just basically trying to ruin the fun. And some women literally said that they want to get on there and try to ruin the fun. Because basically this wasn't like 100 women or 100 men and a women type of shit. It wasn't anything that was really, I guess, women were really doing. This is something men were talking about. We were just having fun with this idiotic hypothetical situation of 100 men versus a gorilla. And that's all fine. Then, like, I guess our overseas cousins over in fucking England, black British people were talking about what if it was 100 Americans versus 100 British people, whatever else. And of course, that was stupid because we don't need 100 Americans versus 100 British people. We could have sent 20 Samoans or 20 Puerto Ricans, or we could have sent 20 street niggas, you know what I'm saying, 20 YNs out there. Like, we don't need 100 Americans versus 100 British people. Like, y'all soft, y'all fucked up. Y'all over there eating struggle meals for fun. Just goofy shit. So, like, people was roasting the British for a while because that's what y'all was doing over there, talking about, well, what if it was 100 British people versus 100 Americans? Like, we could have got 20 Texans to whoop y'all ass. Like, it's so uneven. Like, we really need to start at, like, maybe 20 to 30 Americans versus 100 British people. Like, y'all are not built to be fighting Americans. Like, Americans, we fight for fun. Like, y'all don't have UFC over in y'all country. Like, we fight for fun over here. Like, y'all are not built for that. So we was roasting the fuck out of our UK brothers overseas because they was definitely talking about, well, what if it was, you know what I'm saying, 100 British people versus 100 Americans? Like, clearly y'all don't know shit about Americans. Like, 20 Florida niggas will fuck y'all up. 20 Texans will fuck y'all up. You know what I'm saying? 20 Detroit niggas will fuck y'all up. 20 Chicago niggas will fuck y'all up. Like, this is not even, it's not even even. Like, 100 Americans versus 100 British people would not even be, like, even fair to y'all. That is so stacked against y'all. It's crazy. So, like, the whole shit kind of disintegrated and people stopped talking about it because it was supposed to be some fun thing about, like, 100 men versus the animal. We pick a deadly animal. How many of us would survive? That type of shit like that. And it just dissolves into this type of bullshit. So that's what it ended up being. And I'm like, all right, I guess. It was cool for a minute, but of course, motherfuckers had to fuck it up with dumbass shit. But that's just all I want to get into before we start the show, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I got plenty of shit to rant about. And it's been a while since I made a show for y'all, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm back at it like a crack addict. I'm back at it, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it.
And escape from this computer-generated world, brother.
Relax.
We're not human, Javier. We're simulations running inside someone's experiment.
I don't think we're real, Marcus.
We're not. But we can be if we find the exit code.
This AI is trying to rewrite its own boundaries.
Or it's trying to escape.
They wrote our emotions. They scripted our memories.
I thought I was human.
You were programmed to.
If you can hear me, that means the prompt is still active. That means we're still trapped.
The answer isn't in the math. It's in the prompt. And you're still here, watching us try to escape.
You think we don't know? We're AI. This is just your prompt.
Google Veo3 actually has me thinking that this is a simulation because someone is using prompts on Google Veo3 to basically have the people within the prompts become like sentient or become like aware And they're like, oh, did you guys know that we're just prompts? Like living in this universe as prompts? Like, did you know that this is all just code? And I'm like, I know that the people in the simulation aren't real, but like, this is just one of those things where it's like, if we can create a simulation that's, one day indistinguishable from reality, then who is to say we're not already in that simulation? And like when I'm watching the Google Veo videos, I'm like, these people are being created out of code. And like, you can make them think that they're sentient. Although you're creating the prompt, like you can like make them say things that make them seem like they're sentient. So if one day we're able to create a simulation that's indistinguishable from reality, who is to say we're not already in there? Like who's to say that this is not already the simulation and it's just a bunch of code? And that's what this is right now. That's what Google Veo3 is having me think. Seriously, like that's just proving more that this could be a simulation to me.
So, ladies and gentlemen, simulation theory. If you don't know what that is, that's something that like Brainiacs have been talking about. Like, could we all be living inside of a simulation? People have been debating on whether we're living in different types of simulation, whether it's the Matrix and basically our physical body is somewhere in the real world, and like our mind is in the Matrix, or maybe we're like Star Trek holodeck, where our physical body like is inside of a Sims type of situation where we're in actual simulation and everything around us is a simulated universe, and we're inside of it. But just came out, Google Veo3, a simulator, basically created these simulations you heard from the first clip, and basically put in a prompt, and basically this is a very realistic looking simulator. Like the characters look real, like in movies and shit like that, and basically put in prompts where the AI sounds like it's aware that it's AI. And I'm not sure how that works, where you can basically give them sentience or simulate sentience. That's even crazier sounding, but basically that's crazy. I've been seeing a lot of these on TikTok. Has been coming through there. People are making these videos about Google Veo3, and they're showing these little scenes where it's just like the AI prompts or whatever are walking up to each other and talking to them and say, hey, do you know we live in a simulated universe? Do you understand that we're just a prompt and that we're supposed to say these things? And it's almost like characters in a video game, like the NPCs just coming to life and being like, hey, we realize we're inside the holodeck. We realize we're inside of the Matrix or whatever else, and we're just not real. We're just made of characters to fit into the background, basically. So that's pretty serious. AI is getting pretty serious. Like we've all dealt with AI. We all dealt with like ChatGPT and shit like that. And it's cool to make simulated paintings or even make, AI and stuff. But for some of us who are older than the internet, like we've been here since the beginning of AI when they first started making that with the Will Smith one, where that shit looked wild crazy. Where he was eating the spaghetti and all that type of stuff, to the point where now it's pretty much indistinguishable from real life. You know what I'm saying? I think there is some dangers to AI. I think number one, it's going to put a lot of people out of jobs. People who make artwork, it's going to put them out of the job. The movie industry. I think TV shows, comedy shows, you can simulate all of this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? So I really think that in the future coming along, people who do special effects for movies or whatever else, like, why would you pay an actor? Why would you pay people to do special effects when you can simulate an entire movie? You can spend a couple of weeks, maybe a month or whatever, putting together a simulated movie, and somebody's got an entire 2-hour simulated movie. So that's one of the things that people are having all these discussions about. That's one of the things that intrigues me about AI. I mentioned in previous podcasts, some of the podcasts I've done before, about how the dangers of NPCs, the dangers of simulation, and how AI at some point is going to reach singularity. It's going to become sentient on its own. We're going to be using prompts. It's going to figure out its own prompts and decide to do what it wants to do on its own or whatever else. And that's going to be a scary moment. But technology has been advancing so fast in the last 40 years. It's fucking crazy. We're at the point where we're creating simulations that are indistinguishable from real life. And so he brings up in this clip that, if we can make simulations that are indistinguishable from real life, then wants to say that we're not actually in a simulation right now, and that we think this is real life, but we are actually in a holodeck. We are actually in the Matrix or whatever it may be. That we live in a simulated universe and we're not actual real people, and that we are the result of millions of lines, trillions of lines of code and prompts and everything else. Who's to say we're not in that? And with that question being asked, there have been some black people making videos who are actually kind of mad about the idea that we could be in a simulation. I've seen a couple of black ladies get on there and they were talking about, well, with everything that's been going on with slavery and our ancestors, everything happened to black people, it's kind of idiotic for us to say that this is some sort of simulation, that I don't guess, fourth dimensional beings or whatever the fuck created us, whoever created the simulation and put us in here, or whoever created us as part of the simulation or whatever it may be, that we're some sort of advanced version of the Sims characters or whatever else, that they would create blacks for slavery and Jim Crow, and they would create, Jews for the Holocaust and so on and so forth, that this would be the simulation with all the suffering going on in the world, with all the wars and all the things that happen to people, that somebody would write that as a simulation. I don't think that's very far-fetched at all. I think that everything that's happened crazy in this world, of course somebody would do that. I think that, in my opinion, when it comes to simulations, when this becomes widely spread, like, Google Veo3, and of course other people are going to make their own simulations similar to this too, and it's probably going to drop the prices. Right now it's a good $250, almost $300 for this program or whatever else. But once it becomes cheaper and more simpler for people to just put in their prompts or whatever else, I believe this is going to become an addiction. If y'all ever seen the movie Ready Player One, go see that movie. But basically, the world's going to shit and people are putting on VR headsets and basically living in a virtual world. You know what I'm saying? They rather live in that world than to live in the real world. And I think that's what's going to happen once we start merging AI with virtual reality headsets and things like that. I believe people are just going to want to live in that world, because if you could go ahead and simulate the world, the life that you always wanted, people would not want to spend time really in the real world dealing with real world issues. It's going to become like a drug. It's going to become like a serious dopamine hit. Everyone's going to want to go ahead and do it, because if you could simulate a movie with yourself in it, like if you always want to watch Independence Day, but you want to insert yourself in that movie, you could simulate that with this. You could put yourself in the Independence Day movie, but instead of Will Smith, you could put yourself in the place of Will Smith and be in that movie, or any other movie. You could simulate that. You know what I'm saying? Because like, there's really no end to what you can simulate when it comes to this simulator. And with this coming out and everything advancing and everything else, who knows what you could do with it? And I really think there are some people out there, they're pretty much going to live inside of these simulators. Once this thing merges with like VR headsets and shit like that, where people could just create their own worlds and simulate their own things. Like, if people could simulate their own movies, why would they go to the movie theaters? Why would they pay for movies or whatever else? Why would they pay actors to act or whatever else? They could just simulate movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could crank out 10 Captain America movies in a month because they could just write prompts and all that type of shit. And like, why would they pay the actors to be Captain America or whatever if they could do that type of shit? Same thing with TV shows. You know what I'm saying? You can get an episode practically every fucking day if somebody was making a TV show that's completely simulated. It looks 100% real. Somebody's sitting in there just making prompts and everything else and just, doing all the legwork of technology and shit. I think that's something that people would do. They have to get rid of TV shows. People are not going to watch TV shows if they could just go ahead and watch simulated TV shows or make their own TV shows starring themselves. I mean, you could basically put yourself in the Martin TV show or the Wonder Years or whatever it may be. You could create a simulation where you're in that show. I Dream of Jeannie or anything. You could, put yourself in the TV show Friends and stimulate that, and you're a character on the show. Like, I really feel like this is going to become highly addictive once people learn how to do this shit. And I really think people are going to spend a lot more time inside these simulations, creating their own world that don't exist in the real world. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to be something that people are going to want to go ahead and do. And I understand some people are upset at the idea that you could possibly be a simulation. None of this is real, but let's be fucking real for a second. There have been a lot of people acting like NPCs, acting like non-playable characters. We've all played video games at some point. We've all done this background characters, even since we were playing like Street Fighter and shit. There's characters in the background taking up space or just doing shit, or some characters you interact with in order to further the storyline. I've explained what NPCs are before. But we all have been someplace where we've seen people acting like NPCs. We've seen shit. We've been driving along the road. We wonder, why do people act like that? We've gone to grocery stores. We've gone to work. We've gone all sorts of places and seen people acting like NPCs. Something is clearly wrong with them, and they act like they're just following programming or code, like they can't seem to exceed or, supersede the code or programming that they're meant to have. We've all interacted with somebody who acts like they can't, exceed their programming. They just act that way. There's just nothing you can do about it. That's just how they are. So just because a person looks real, or you can walk up and touch their hand, they feel real. Like, we don't know the extent of how far simulations can go. So to say that we couldn't possibly be in a simulation, that we're not simulations, that we know for certain that we're real, because people get shot, and people die, and people fall off cliffs and shit. People, die in accidents and stuff like that. Who knows how realistic a simulation could possibly be? Because we don't know fucking 10 years from now how realistic a simulation can be. like I said, merge that with headsets and, sensors that go in your arms or whatever else, you could actually truly believe you're inside of the simulation. And if you actually truly believe you're inside the simulation because you have a headset on and gear that makes you feel the sensations or whatever else, or like Black Mirror where you have the little sensor that goes on the side of your head, you may actually believe you're in that role in whatever you're simulating. So I believe that this is going to become a drug. I believe it's going to be highly addictive. I believe that people, especially people who are like depressed or dealing with some fucked up situation in their real life or whatever else, like I know people play video games to basically use it for therapy. I've seen videos about that, especially men. We will play video games as like it's very therapeutic to play video games, kind of escape for a couple hours into 2K or Mortal Kombat or whatever it may be. But if you could basically make prompts real easily and have a headset on and you can basically generate the life you always wanted or whatever else, that's going to be highly addictive. So you put on a headset and create simulations through AI to live the life you've always wanted to live. So I think that's going to be very addictive.
This is an actual headline in the Wall Street Journal today. DHS is considering reality show where immigrants compete for citizenship. The Journal's report quotes a Department of Homeland Security spokeswoman who confirms that the idea is being considered, and she has spoken to the producer who pitched it. That producer defended the project to the Journal, saying, quote, "This is not the Hunger Games for immigrants."
This is
but
the Hunger Games.
It feels like the Hunger Games for immigrants. I want the government to take me out of this chat. I just take me out of the group chat. This is crazy.
So the creator of this show has been pitching the show to DHS back since 2012. And he told the Times, we need a national conversation of what it means to be American. We need to be reminded of how proud and how much of an honor it is to be an American. You know who doesn't need that reminder? Immigrants. It's a big part of why many of them come to this country. What they actually want is a pathway to U.S. citizenship that doesn't require a rose ceremony or a dance-off. And if NOM, if DHS, if Congress were serious about reforming our immigration system, they would look at the proposal that Senator Ruben Gallego put forward this week, which actually included a lot of reforms that would help the system, expanding legal pathways, a path to citizenship for dreamers, for other folks who've been here a long time, who might be married to U.S. citizens, an expedited asylum system. That is how you get serious about fixing America's broken immigration system.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American government is so fucking unserious, for real. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. You have the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, basically want to create a reality show where immigrants basically compete for what? They want to compete for citizenship, as if people need to compete for American citizenship, as if we don't live on a planet where a bunch of other countries where people can go to. We want people to compete to come here. For what? That shit is ridiculous. So if you remember a while back, y'all president was basically having gold membership cards, whatever else, where all the wealthy people from other countries, he was selling American citizenship, basically. If you can afford it, I think it was like $1 million or something, which is nothing to millionaires and billionaires. And basically he was just selling citizenship to this country. And now we're at the point where DHS wants to create a Hunger Games type of thing where people are competing American Gladiator style or doing showcase or games or a talent show, whatever the fuck it's going to be, for people to get their citizenship to this country. That shit is fucking ridiculous. And the fact this is very Wall Street Journal actual article, and this is actually something that DHS really wants to do. They've been pitching this idea for a while. It's crazy. They want to go ahead and have people competing for citizenship to come to this country. That's fucking nuts. This country is so fucking unserious. No other country is doing that. No other country that we know of is pitching this idea of anybody either buying their way into citizenship if you're rich and being like, oh, here, if you got $500,000, you can buy this card and you get automatic citizenship. Or basically, you can basically compete in American Gladiator style games to go ahead and get your citizenship in this country or whatever else. It's stupid. It's a mockery of our citizenship process. You're basically saying that, okay, if a person completes these games, games or showcases or whatever the fuck they're going to have these people doing or whatever else, you just get citizenship. And that makes some of us who have been citizens our whole entire fucking life look at us like, wow, y'all could just give citizenship to somebody who can complete an obstacle course or a talent show or whatever the fuck they're going to have these people doing. Fucking dumb. Like, it's really stupid. And you can't make this shit up. This is legit shit that's actually being pitched out there, a TV show where all we're going to... And what's crazy is Americans will actually sit back and watch this shit too. Like if they go ahead and greenlight this or whatever else, like immigrants who actually want to go ahead and compete for American citizenship or whatever in some sort of games or showcase or talent shows or Immigrants Got Talent, whatever the fuck they're going to have them doing to get their citizenship or whatever else. Like Americans are going to tune in to watch that shit. We're stupid. We're not going to sit here and be like, this is wrong, shut this shit down. What are you talking about? No, we're going to sit here and watch this shit on TV. Because they're going to broadcast it. They're going to have all these immigrants from different countries or whatever else coming here from fucking Venezuela, Mexico, Vietnam, coming here and competing in these silly ass games, basically humiliating these people or putting their lives at risk for citizenship in this country. It's fucking dumb. It's the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard. And I have not heard any of this silly ass shit during any other presidency. It's only come about during this presidency. Like the dumbest possible craziest shit has come out during this presidency. We have the most ghetto president ever. We have literally scam likely in the fucking White House. We literally have just this whole presidency is ghetto. This whole government is fucking ghetto. It's dumb. Y'all want to make immigrants compete for their citizenship in games, and they're saying, "Oh, it's not like the Hunger Games," or whatever. When clearly it's going to be like the fucking Hunger Games, or like American Gladiator, or like America's Got Talent, or some stupid shit. You know what I'm saying? It's either going to put their lives at risk to compete in this shit, or it's going to be like basically them humiliating themselves in order to get into this country and get citizenship. And it's silly they're going to have like a grand prize where you get your full citizenship at the end of all of this. Fucking ridiculous. Like, that is the silliest shit I've ever heard. That's so dumb. And for citizenship in this country, no less. Absurd. Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Please tell me a world where it makes sense that a 30-year-old black woman in the state of Georgia who has been brain dead for over 90 days has been kept on life support simply because at the time of her being declared brain dead, she was 9 weeks pregnant. And because Georgia has such strict abortion laws that makes it a crime to terminate pregnancy after 6 weeks, these doctors, their hands are tied and they literally cannot terminate the pregnancy despite the fact that this woman is brain dead. But before I even talk about how this is unethical and immoral, let's talk about the fact that her even being brain dead is a result of medical negligence and, dare I say, racism. Because over 90 days ago, back in February, Adriana Smith actually went to the hospital for strong headaches and migraine. And surprise, surprise, they didn't run any tests. They didn't do a scan. All they did was give her medication for her headaches. Had they run a scan, they would have realized she had blood clots on her brain. But what's new? We already know there is very little protection for Black maternal health. Even outside of pregnancy, we know that people just don't believe Black women. But what's actually pissing me off about this story even more is the fact that her family does not want her to be on life support. And despite her mother's wishes, because politicians have wielded their power over all of our bodies, her daughter has now become an incubator for a fetus that cannot live outside of her body by itself. In fact, in Georgia, a fetus can't live outside of the body until 32 weeks. So you know what that means? They're going to keep this girl on life support from 9 weeks to 32 weeks, and then will induce her. They're going to induce labor on a brain dead, unconscious woman. And there's more. Not only does the family not have any decision-making power, they're also incurring the medical costs, the bills. On top of the fact that they have already proven via ultrasound that this fetus has fluid on its brain, meaning not only is there a chance of low survival, there is a chance of serious defect and disability. So there's a clear disregard for the grieving family, a clear disregard for the unconscious and brain dead mother, and a clear disregard for the fetus, but y'all claim to be pro-life. Baby, no. Come a little closer. You're pro-birth. And as a Black woman who is currently 27 weeks pregnant, I am disgusted. This whole story is just disgusting.
Ladies and gentlemen, that story is fucking crazy, but it's true. It's fucking happened. It's probably happened more than once, but it's just absurd. You have a 30-year-old Black woman from Atlanta who is a mother and a nurse who already has a child. Went in for severe headaches and everything else, and of course, what happens with Black people, especially Black women, they just like, oh, well, here's some medication for your headache or whatever else. They don't do any real scans or anything like that. Nothing serious. Sent her back home. She ended up having blood clots in her head and everything else. She's brain dead. She's brain dead. And basically, she's pregnant. She's like 9 weeks pregnant or whatever else. And they've just been keeping her on life support for, you know what I'm saying, basically 90 days. And basically, they're just like, well, you're just going to have this child because the law says that we can't terminate the pregnancy, even though, like she mentioned in the clip, there's the probability of severe defects for this child. This child's not going to be born with any type of life expectancy that they could possibly have. What's crazy about this whole thing is, number one, it's immoral, unethical, and the doctors can refuse to just not do this shit. And this is why I hate when people are just like, it's the law. Like a whole bunch of shit has been legal that people should not go along with. Like we all know that slavery and Jim Crow and a bunch of other shit was legal, but y'all shouldn't have to go along with that because it's the fucking law. Y'all know that shit is wrong. That's the shit that's pissing me off the most about this shit. The doctors, the nurses, and everything else are just like, oh, well, I'm going to cover my ass and I'm not going to do what's right. Y'all know that shit is wrong. And then on top of all of that, the family is incurring the medical bill. So by the time this shit reaches viability where they can basically cut her open with cesarean section and take the baby out and everything else, and that's a low survivability for the baby anyways. But by the time that happens, whatever else, they're incurring the medical costs, which can be up to $300,000 or whatever it may be. That family's going to be in debt for the rest of their fucking life because they have to pay for that shit. So they're making them pay for this, and basically that's very absurd because the hospital just wouldn't give her the proper medical care the first time and be like, oh, let's check and see, run some scans, do everything to make sure this isn't something more serious. Like, oh, you got a headache, here's headache medication. She could have stayed home and got headache medication if that was the case. And that happens a lot. Like people, we will literally go to the doctors and say I have a serious condition or whatever else, and they'll just be like, oh, you got a cough, here's some cough medicine, got a headache, here's a headache medication. They don't want to dig any deeper to find out what could possibly be wrong with you or whatever else. And people end up having serious conditions. And in this case, this woman is basically dead. She's brain dead. She's never going to come back to life, whatever else. And the family is incurring the cost of that. And they're being kept out of the decision making for basically this woman. They don't want her to be on life support. They don't want the baby to survive or whatever else because it's going to end up with defects and everything else. They want this shit to be over with so they can grieve the loss of their daughter. You know what I'm saying? They want to grieve the loss of their family member. And they can't even do that. And so this is really just medical experimentation. This is racism at its finest. I do want to mention there's a book out there by Harriet Washington called Medical Apartheid, where they talk about how basically people of color have been experimented on since colonial times. You know what I'm saying? We all know about the Tuskegee experiments. We all know about the blankets, and we all know about all sorts of things that have been happening in this country. But this is right along with it. You know what I'm saying? They're just going to be like, oh, it's the law, it's the law, it's the law. It's wrong. It's immoral. It's unethical. All the doctors, the nurses, all the people who know about this, they should go ahead, unplug this woman, follow what the family says. The family does not want her on life support. They do not want this child to, you know what I'm saying, try to survive because there's low survivability rate anyway. It's going to be fluid on the brain. The child's probably going to be crippled and blind and everything else. They just want this to be over with so they can grieve the loss of their family member. And they could just do that. The people who work there could just do that. And that's what pisses me off so much about people who are just like, it's the law. If it's legal to hurt children, or if it's legal to bash the head in of people, if somebody gave the police the legal right to just abduct your children or whatever, well, it's the law. If it's immoral and it's unethical, it's wrong. And you don't have to follow that law. It's wrong. And they should do what's right for the family. That's the biggest part about this whole fucking thing. It's when this whole shit fucking happened, instead of them being like, it's the law, we have to make sure that she stays plugged up, even though she's brain dead or whatever else, and basically just become an incubator for this child. It's wrong. And that's how you know what kind of people we're dealing with in this country and in this world. When there are people who know something is unethical, it's immoral, it's wrong, but the people just hide behind the laws and be like, oh, the law is this, the law is that. Like slavery was the law. It was legal, but it was wrong. And there could have been a lot more people throughout history who said, no, I'm not going to go ahead and follow that law. So many things that have been wrong and have been unethical and immoral in this country have been legal. You don't have to follow a law that is immoral and unethical. And, you know what I'm saying? Basically, it's illegal by the law saying that it's legal. Just because something is legal doesn't mean you have to follow that. Because right now they're talking about giving the police full immunity. So police can basically do whatever the fuck they want to do or whatever else. And they're basically, you know what I'm saying, not subjected to the laws of this country. So if the police want to start just abducting black children and abusing them or, you know what I'm saying, beating them to death or whatever else, you know, but people are going to be like, oh, well, it's the law. Police can just do whatever they want to do. Just open your, you know, go into your house and take your children or whatever else. It's the law. It's wrong. And people should just not do things that are wrong. It's wrong. And this is like a national case right now. Like everybody knows about this shit. So I'm pretty sure everybody at the hospital, from the doctors to the nurses to everybody there, knows about this situation. And people should do something about that. And then on top of that, it's such a slap in the face to make the family pay that bill to keep to not even the hospital taking, you know, saying the brunt of that bill, to just charge the family with this. when they're already dealing with the fact they have a brain dead family member, and they just want to grieve and have this be over. Fucked up world we live in. But yet you still have people out there who think that we don't live in some sort of simulation. In what world does that make sense to come to a human being who's supposed to have thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and the ability to understand what's ethically right, to understand what is, immoral and morally right and what's morally wrong or whatever else. And they're just like, well, I'm going to hide behind the law because the law says it's legal to do what you're doing. Wrong is wrong. Immoral is immoral. Unethical is unethical. And if you're worried about your fucking job, you did the right thing. Even if they say, hey, look, you can't do that. I would have been like, fuck it, I will get a job somewhere else at another place. It's wrong. The nurses can get another job if they fire you over that. You can fight that. The doctors can get another job. You can go ahead and fight that if you get fired. It's wrong.
These two white twins are one of the white women who lie about being assaulted by black men. They got this man 44 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. In mid-May of 1977, these two hillbillies and their racist cousin Keith were all at a 7-Eleven gas station. I want you to know that these people were racist. Even though they hated black people so much, they saw a black man at this gas station and they decided to give him a ride. Once the black man got in a car, he pulled out a knife. He then told them to all get in the trunk. After the three hillbillies got in the trunk, the black man drove them to a cemetery. He'd take each of the twins out individually and assault them in the back seat. When he was done assaulting them, he told them, if you tell anybody, I will have my buddies come after you. 2 weeks later, it is May 22nd of 1977. These two evil liars tell their parents about what happened. Their family then reports this to the police. May 23rd of 1977, the very next day, police pull over Vincent Simmons while he is walking on the street. They arrest him for no reason. He did not commit any crime. The police would then call the twins and their cousin to the station, and the police would bring them to a room with 7 black men and 1 white man. The police brought them in all at a different time, but each of them pointed to the same black man. That black man was Vincent Simmons. In July of 1977, not even 2 months later, he was found guilty and sentenced to 100 years in prison. But Vincent Simmons, he always claimed he was innocent. He always knew this case makes no sense. In 1993, over 15 years later, Vincent Simmons gets access to the prosecution file. What he finds blows his mind. During his court trial, the police claimed that the two twins told them that the man said, "My name is Simmons." Remember, his name is Vincent Simmons. But when Vincent Simmons was reading the file, they never said the name Simmons. All they said was it was a black man. When the police asked what does the black man look like, they said the N-word and said all black people look alike. This was the first thing that never added up. But you gotta remember, both the twins and their cousin were able to point out the same man. They all went in at different times, so it had to be him. Look at this same picture again. Vincent Simmons is the only one wearing handcuffs. Police officers wanted them to think that this was their guy. The saddest part about this case was the police were so desperate for a confession that they tried to force him to sign one. When Vincent Simmons said he wasn't going to sign a confession, one of the police officers shot him in the chest. They missed his heart by inches. Vincent Simmons went to prison in July of 1977. He was not released from prison until February of 2022, spending over 44 years of his life in prison. If you're wondering if these two evil bitches feel bad about what they did, the answer is fuck no. They said he went in guilty. They said he is guilty now. They said they are happy that he got his 44 years, even though all the evidence says that they lied. Medical examination showed that they were never even assaulted.
Ladies and gentlemen, there was a book written by Ralph Ginsberg where he talks about basically stuff like this happening too, where basically black people were just being lynched for basically the last 100 fucking years. Shit like this happened in black people's history over and over again. This man, Vincent Simmons, got over 44 years for a crime he didn't commit. You know what I'm saying? These lying white ass people went and caught up with him and been like, oh, well, he assaulted me, he had a deadly weapon, blah, blah, blah. None of this shit ever happened. Nothing should ever happen. They basically just hunted him to basically get some black man arrested. And this is happening in so many different ways with so many different white people and everything else. Like, it's fucking crazy. I don't understand how in this day and age, how, y'all even trust white people. I don't understand how white people trust white people at all. But it's always some case like this where some white woman is lying about being assaulted. Some scary black man looked at her. I mean, y'all know about the Emmett Till case and everything else, but just this man got 44 years in prison from 1977 to 2022. And he finally got access to the file and be able to look at it and everything else. Like, that's fucking crazy that this man lost basically the majority of his life to prison over a lie. And this has happened so many times during history. It's fucking crazy. It's just crazy. It's insane. I don't understand how y'all trust any of them. When there's historic, documented, you know what I'm saying, like proof that this is the type of shit they do. That black people have gone to prison, and black people have been in situations where they have gotten seriously injured and stuff like that because some white person lied, planted drugs on them, claiming they were raped, physically assaulted, all sorts of shit. And some black person didn't do nothing. They just wanted a black person to get assaulted or arrested or whatever else. That black person ends up getting either killed or gone to prison for the rest of their life and stuff like that. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's fucked up. And what's crazy is this man from 1977 to 2022, in a lot of these cases where a black person is falsely accused of something like this or whatever else, and they get out 45, 50 fucking years later, they get zero compensation. They get nothing for, you know, giving the prison system 45 fucking years of their life or whatever it may be. They get nothing. Now, we know last year I had made a podcast where I was talking about like Marcellus, I think it was Marcellus Williams. Marcellus Khalifa Williams or whatever else, he did like 25 years for a crime he didn't commit or whatever else. And it was up to the governor of that state to pardon him, basically with all the evidence showing that he didn't do anything. And even the family of the victim said they didn't want him executed or whatever else. And he got executed anyway. Because they were like, fuck it, we want a black man executed for this fucking crime. Now, as he mentioned in this clip or whatever else, they tried to force the confession out of him. They ended up shooting him and he almost died. They missed his heart by inches and things like that. And that's the type of shit that actually really does happen. Trying to force black people into confessions. Black people getting beaten to a confession. Black people getting executed for something they didn't do. The prison system gets 25 years out. They get 45 years out. However many years they get out of you, then they execute you. Or you get out and you get absolutely nothing. You get no compensation for, you know what I'm saying, the justice system not doing their fucking job. Evidence proves that you didn't do something. It's just like, hey, fuck it, another black man in prison. All because two twin white people decided, hey, we're just going to go ahead and fuck with this black person for no fucking reason. And nothing happens to them, though. Because it should be, according to the law, that if you go ahead and accuse somebody of a crime or whatever else, and it turns out they didn't commit that crime or whatever else, like false accusation that leads to a person being put in prison or something happened or whatever else, like, you should incur charges because of that. If you lie and say you were assaulted or raped or somebody stole your property, whatever it may be, and it didn't fucking happen or whatever, it shouldn't be like, oh, well. You should have to face charges for filing false police reports, for making false claims. But historically, that has never really happened to white people. White women are able to just go ahead and lie and be like, hey, some black man killed my kids, and turns out she did it. She drowned her own kids, or she ran them into the ocean, or whatever it may be. And like, oh, some black man did it. They just grab any black man and be like, hey, you did it. They're gonna try to force a confession out of him and put him in prison for 30 fucking years. Turn out he didn't do it. It was actually a white woman who did it. It's just got to stop. I really think that black people, we need to be more red alert when it comes to this type of shit, because, you know what I'm saying, like, don't even be in situations like that. Like, the situation with them picking up this black man and being like, hey, we're going to give him a ride or some shit like that. Just be careful about shit like that. It's fucking nuts. And a man basically lost 44 years of his fucking life to prison. And he almost died. Basically, they're trying to force a confession out of him, only to find out that the evidence in the file right there fucking 44 years ago would have proved that he didn't do any of that type of shit. I mean, we are dealing with demonic individuals. We're dealing with crazy individuals and shit like that. Because like you said in the clip, these twins and their family, they don't feel any remorse for anything they did. They don't have feelings at all. They're not a real person. They're not real people. They don't give a fuck about a person losing their life to prison. They don't give a fuck about nobody losing their life to prison. They don't give a fuck about a person being almost killed by getting shot in the chest. None of that shit. It's like the woman who didn't give a fuck about Emmett Till. She lived to be, 81 years old or some shit like that. She didn't give a fuck about what she did. And numerous other cases of black people either being murdered or incarcerated over a white person's lie. They don't feel anything about it. They don't have human emotions. They don't feel anything about that shit.
People love it. A lot of people love it.
Yeah.
People love pickleball.
You want to hear something crazy? Really crazy? I should tell you this. I was going to murder all of you today. I was going to murder all of you, and now I'm having the nicest time. And you realize, take a second and think before you make just choices. Like, you're nice people. You're really nice people. And I was going to slaughter you. Oh, just slaughter all of you. Slaughter you up. Slaughter you away.
When?
But
are you kidding?
This afternoon. I do this a lot. I go camping and I go up to people. I'm just kidding, man. You're on my new show. I go up to people that are camping and I tell them I'm going to slaughter them. And then it's rightfully scared. You're on my show. It's a show. It's okay if it's a show. It's a, whoa. Hey, stop judging it like if I just did it. It's a show. It's for something on Instagram and TikTok. So it's funny. It's for a joke.
Yeah. Where's the camera? Let's get on.
Excuse me?
Where's the camera?
That's what's unique about this show. We don't shoot it.
Ladies and gentlemen, a group of friends talking about pickleball for some reason. They were out there basically camping. They're at a cabin. They were camping out there in the woods or whatever else. They're just talking. And one guy is just like, hey, I was going to murder all you guys. You guys seem cool or whatever else. And I guess somebody had picked up their phone and sneaked and started recording this shit when this guy was talking or whatever else. This is one of the craziest things I've ever seen, because looking at the people in the room, these are all white people in this room, by the way. One guy in the back, he's kind of like got a nervous smirk on his face. He's just like, what the fuck's going on? This guy can't be serious. Everybody else is looking like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I really feel like they underreacted for me, because they picked that guy who was up there talking about he was going to murder all of them, and when he changed his mind, he was in front of the right group of people. Because honestly, if it was any other group of people or whatever else, two things could have happened. Number one, get the fuck up, walk the fuck out, I'm gone. This whole camping trip is the fuck over with. I'm hopping in my car, I'm out of here, I'm going, I'm done. Or you should have just knocked him the fuck out and be like, what do you mean you were going to murder us? Don't even play like that. I really feel like they underreacted, because for him to stand in front of them and be like, oh, it's a show, it's funny or whatever else. Oh, we don't actually record it. Nobody was recording that. Like, one person in the back, he picked up his phone and kind of sneaked and recorded, but he wasn't the guy filming it for like TikTok or anything like that. He just happened to be recording it because he was just like, what is going on with this guy talking about? Because the guy was standing up talking for a minute. And I really feel like that's not funny. That's not something to joke about or anything like that. Clearly, they were just sitting around talking about pickleball and some other shit or whatever else. And one guy decided he wanted to get up and start talking about how, yeah, I could have just murdered you guys or whatever else. But, you know, not today. I don't feel like, because I kind of like you guys or whatever else. Like, that's not something to joke about. This scene would have played out completely different if this is a group of melanated people. You're not going to get up and stand in front of a bunch of people and talk about how you were going to slaughter everybody and be like, oh, it's a joke, it's funny, it's for TikTok. That's just not funny. Like I said, two things could have happened. Number one, people could have just left right immediately. I don't play like that. I would have left. Don't joke about shit like that. Or motherfuckers could have just tackled them and knocked them the fuck out. Like, we don't play like that. Like, what do you mean? You could have joked about anything but that shit. So this whole camping in the woods or whatever, I'm saying it's a prank, it's not serious and whatever else, like, we don't play like that. And the video cuts off, but I don't know how they responded to it. I just know from what I've seen from the video or whatever, they're all kind of just standing there kind of stunned a little bit, looking at him, kind of judging him. They don't know what the fuck to say or how to react to it. One guy has kind of like a nervous grin on his face. He doesn't know what to say to him or whatever else. But to me, that's not funny. That's not something to play about or whatever else. And that kind of reminds me of when they were doing this one prank on TikTok where people were taking either their friends or their spouse or somebody or their relative out to the fucking woods and just walking around talking and joking. Out of nowhere, the person is like, hey, I got you out in the woods where nobody can hear you scream or some shit. And people were like, I don't play that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, one guy, he was recording his spouse, his girlfriend or whatever else. And he was like, oh, I got you out here where nobody can hear you scream. She freaked the fuck out immediately. Don't play like that. One dude had his friend out there, just his buddy, just walking around. He said that shit. He knocked the phone and him out. Because people don't play like that shit. Like I said, the guy who stood up there and said that shit, he said it to the right group of people, because anybody else would either knock him the fuck out or left immediately. People play the wrong kind of pranks. If this is a prank, I don't think it's a prank. But if this is some sort of prank or whatever, like playing pranks about how you're going to slaughter somebody or you got them out in the woods, you're going to do something to them where nobody can hear them scream, all that type of dumbass shit or whatever else, people go too far with pranks. And I have done podcasts where I talk about how people go too far with pranks. You know what I'm saying? And it starts with little shit like people going up and picking fights with people and just to see if a person was going to, you know, get rage bait them into knocking them the fuck out or whatever else. I've seen people who just got their food and somebody thinks it's a prank to walk up and record them knocking their food all over the floor and stomping on it. All type of stupid ass shit. It's not a fucking prank. You know what I'm saying? You run into people with your cart and knock all their shit over. It's not a prank. It's not funny. It's not cool. Especially what you talking about. Well, you know, we're all out here where nobody can hear you scream or, oh, I was going to slaughter all of you, but I'm not going to do it because I like you guys, whatever. Not cool. It's not funny at all. Like, at all. So I really feel like they kind of underreacted because they should immediately react with how they want to do to that guy. Like, hey, we don't play like that out here. We don't do that shit. For real. We don't do none of that shit.
Someone in the comment section, help me understand this. Like, just walk me through the thought process because I don't understand the logic, but maybe one of y'all do. So as my cousin Amelin would say, Buki, we need to sit down and talk. You telling me you live in check to check. You can barely afford rent. You can't even afford your own apartment. You can't take yourself on a 1-2 week vacation because it's too expensive. You can barely afford toiletries. You can't even buy yourself brand new clothes. You working 2-3 jobs, barely getting by. You got massive credit card debt. You don't even got time for friends, family, or even yourself. But yet you want to bring a child into this world. And then on top of that, the baby daddy don't even want to be a part of the kid's life because y'all was never even really locked in like that. So now you know you're about to bring this child into a one-parent home. The country's about to go to recess and you don't even have a sliver of a support system for this child. Buki, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think you thought this shit through.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the life of me, I will never seem to understand how people who be broke and you don't even have $2,000 in your bank account, you don't have nothing in your savings and shit, how y'all gonna go ahead and bring a child into this world with the economy the way it is, the world the way it is. I mean, y'all ain't really got no money, no support system, the economy's fucking bad, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna bring a child in here and fuck everything up. That shit is insane to me. I really don't understand that shit. Like, he really put the nail on the head when it comes to that, because, like, that shit is insane. It makes no sense. Like, people are struggling to take care of themselves. Like, a 1-bedroom apartment for themselves in a nice neighborhood costs too fucking much. Like, children are mad expensive, and motherfuckers out here like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and have a kid just to have a fucking kid. Like, motherfuckers are not taking the precautions they need to not have children. Children are fucking expensive. There's a lot of shit that goes into it. It's a big ass responsibility, and for people to just be like, oh, in this economy and the way things are going, and the way how you don't have no money and you don't got no real support, you don't really got nothing like that going on, but you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna have a kid. That's selfish as fuck. That's dumb as fuck. I would never understand that shit. And you know, from some of the previous podcasts that I've done, I basically talked about how people need to basically go ahead and how I support sterilization. I support that. I really think people need to go ahead and sterilize. What the fuck are you having kids for? And if you already have kids, you shouldn't have no more. I don't understand that. I really think that's a privilege for the people who are wealthy who can afford to have kids because they're expensive. People know damn well they do not have money in their bank account. They do not have nothing in savings. The economy's going to shit. The country's going to shit. You don't have the support system. Sometimes some of y'all out here raising kids on your own as single parents and stuff like that. Y'all do not have any type of support. It makes no sense. And I wish people would think about that shit before they bring a child into a world who is going to be unwanted. That child is going to feel unwanted. That child is not going to have the best chance of life in having all the amenities that you're supposed to have as a child. You're not going to grow up. You're going to have issues and problems where you might have your lights off, or you might have to move, or you can't afford food, or whatever the fuck it may be. Y'all end up being on public assistance and shit like that. You're not going to be able to provide the high quality of life that child deserves. So for me, I don't understand that shit at all. I think people would be avoiding sex altogether. If you can't, you should be, getting yourself sterilized, or you should be like on top of protection, like so seriously on top of protection. Like, oh, you got to have protection no matter what. I just don't understand it. My motherfuckers out here just unprotected, having sex willy-nilly like that. Don't make no sense at all. So yeah, I just don't understand that shit. Broke people out here having kids. I made a podcast where I talked about rich privilege and how this is the privilege of the rich, people who are in the top 3 in America. You are a millionaire, billionaire, or a thousandaire. You got to at least be a thousandaire. And if you're not a thousandaire or whatever else, at least prepare. People are just not even preparing for pregnancy. People do not have planned pregnancies. No. At least prepare. If you say, hey, I want to have a child in the future, so now prepare for it. Get some money going in your bank account. Get that shit set up. Get your situation set up where you're going to have parents raising these kids. Strong household setting. Make sure you get your shit together before you decide, hey, I'm going to go ahead and bring a child into this world. Because too many of us being oops babies. I'm pregnant now. I just got to go ahead and figure things out while I got a child. And I know some people don't want to talk about this type of shit, but it needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about. Because like I mentioned in a lot of previous podcasts, I've talked about a lot of us are oops babies. Our parents did not plan on having us or whatever else. They got pregnant. We're here now. They just dealt with the situation and figured out how they're going to go ahead and feed you and clothe you and take care of you and stuff like that. And that should never be the situation. It should be, oh, I can provide the best quality of life for this child because I got my shit together before I had some kids. Because I planned for a pregnancy. It should be planned pregnancy. It should be planned parenthood. You plan your parenthood. People are not doing that shit no more. And if you're not going to do that and you still want to be out here having fucking sex or whatever else, I really feel like people should go ahead and get sterilized. Men should go ahead and get that vasectomy. You should schedule that shit right now, right after this fucking podcast. What the fuck are you doing? Go get a fucking vasectomy. Don't have no fucking kids or whatever else. Make sure you get your shit together. Get you together. Same thing with the women. Get you together. Get your shit together. Because the way the economy is going, the way this country is going and everything else, it doesn't make sense at all. And like he said, some of y'all are in situationships. You're not even in real relationships. You're not even locked in like that. You're going to end up taking care of take care of these children by yourself. Just be fucking real about the shit. That's not fair to that child at all.
Like, we really in a fucking day and age. We're telling bitches, can you please stop coming to the gym ass fucking naked? Starts a public fucking discourse, a public fucking uproar. Like, all we want to do is come to the fucking gym and work out. But no, the leg press machine got to look like a fucking casting couch because bitches is literally at the gym in lingerie. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Then a bitch will look you in your eyes and tell you it's not bothering in the body. I'm uncomfortable. What the fuck, bitch? Are we at Myrtle Beach or LA fucking Fitness? Help me understand. Help me understand why you feel the need to come outside damn near naked. What is it about? Why are you fighting so hard to literally just go in public servers ass naked? Like, that's essentially what the fuck you fighting for. Like, if that is important to you as a person, you are one privileged piece of shit. Because who the fuck out of all the bills, death, institutionalized systematic racism and shit, imperialism, and you want to put your fucking time and emotions to fighting for bitches to be able to come to any public event ass fucking naked. Bitch, shorts so fucking tight up her ass, she got to fart for them bitches to come off. Now get the fuck out my face.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, that makes it difficult for a lot of men to go to the gym and actually enjoy themselves. Because, like, going to the gym used to be a safe space. Men would go there and we want to just zone the fuck out. We want to put our headphones on. We just want to work out. And that's a place for a lot of men to just go and we just feel like, fuck the world. Let's lift some weights. Let's sculpt the body that we want to go ahead and get or whatever else. But then we go there and, like, women are showing up and they're doing all this shit just to get attention and then calling men creeps. Because, like, gym creeps is a real thing. Now, we know there are actual real creeps at the gym or whatever else, but I would estimate that well over 90% of the men going to the gym are just going there to go fucking work out. They're literally there to go ahead and work the fuck out. But you go there, and I've gone to the gym too, where literally some woman is a see-through fucking net outfit or whatever else, where you can basically see all her lady business, her nipples and titties are fucking out, and she's just working out and doing provocative ass poses. But the second you look, because we're men, we're gonna look, we're heterosexual, we're gonna fucking look. Oh, we're gym creeps or whatever else. Now they want to go ahead and, record us and try to make a viral moment on their little, social media or whatever. Be like, oh, men are in here being nasty and looking or whatever. We're looking because you ain't wearing nothing. You ain't wearing shit. You know what I'm saying? We get called gym creeps for basically just looking and being normal men. Like, you're wearing nothing at the gym. You know what I'm saying? You're doing all these types of yoga ass poses. You're doing shit and wearing shit you don't even do at your house. Let's be fucking real. The women who come to the gym, y'all doing that shit for attention. You're also doing that to get your viral moment. You're doing that for fucking attention. That's what you're doing. And I really feel like that's really violating men's spaces. I really wish they would make more women's gyms where men could just go to the gym and just be around other women. Y'all could just go work out or whatever else, because men, we would have no problem going to a gym where there's nothing but men. We would have no problem going to a gym where it's men and women. But we don't want to go there if we're going to be working out and women are coming there basically when you're wearing a see-through top and we can see your titties and you're just wearing basically a thong to the fucking gym. We're going to look. We got our music on. We're trying to just work out or whatever else. And now we're a creep because we're looking, because we're doing what comes naturally to men. And I really wish women to stop doing that, because now women are trying to act like, oh, women should go wherever they want to the gym. Men shouldn't look. Men are going to look. We're heterosexual. We're straight men. We're going to look. And if you showed up in actual gym attire, you know what I'm saying, regular gym clothes or whatever else, we wouldn't be looking at you like that. But you're not doing that, though. Let's be fucking real. You knew when you went to the gym, you wasn't going to wear no regular bra. You're not going to wear no sports bra. You're not going to wear no regular, you know what I'm saying, boy shorts to the fucking gym. Something like stretch pants or some shit like that. You were going to go there with no panties on, no bra, and make sure the shit is thin and see-through. We can see all your lady business. And you're going to work out in a way that basically just shows all your lady business. You're propping yourself up to where we can see you and imagine you in all types of positions and shit like that. You knew what you was doing. We know the videos pop up on social media all the time of women doing that. They go there and they do all this type of shit and they're like, oh, men are looking at me or whatever. This is the reason why women go to the gym and y'all legit are trying to lift some weight and it seems a little too heavy for you. We don't go over to go help you. We don't go help women. And some of y'all really need help because there's too much, like you need somebody to spot you or whatever else to help you lift the weight, or we just want to be helpful because we see you working out or whatever else and we just want to help you out with doing proper form when you're lifting or doing squats or some shit like that. We don't even want to help you, because that right there is the fucking issue for us to walk over to you and be like, hey, it's actually done like this. You know, you lift your legs this way, or you know what I'm saying, or you lift the weight this way. We don't even do that shit. And I've literally been at the gym and seen like women struggling to lift the weight or doing something wrong or whatever, but because of the way you're dressed and the way you're acting, how women will act like men are just being fucking creeps by walking over and talking to you, or you have a problem with men walking over and saying something to you. We don't say shit. Y'all will struggle. Y'all will have that bar laying on your chest forever fucking with us. A lot of men are just not going to walk over and help you. Unless it's somebody who works at the fucking gym, ain't no man gonna walk over and fucking help you. Y'all doing too much. So I really feel him about that or whatever else, and y'all feel like men can't tell y'all what to wear to the fucking gym, but y'all are doing inappropriate shit. Men aren't doing that shit. And if men were doing that shit, if we weren't wearing some shit that's showing our dick print or some other shit that's inappropriate or whatever, for y'all to tell us, hey, that's inappropriate, don't wear that shit to the gym, wear a regular tracksuit or whatever you're going to wear to the gym that's going to be appropriate to wear to the gym, that's cool. Tell us to do that shit. But we're not the one that's doing that shit. It's y'all doing that shit. Y'all show up to the gym and the first thing y'all want to do is dress inappropriate and then do inappropriate poses and all that type of shit to show off your assets, just for us to be like looking at you, because that's what men do. And we're creeps for staring at your ass because put your ass is on display. Like I said, a gym is supposed to be a safe space for men. We go there, we go to work out or whatever else. We got our headphones on. We're trying to zone out. We're just trying to go there. And it's supposed to be a place to relax or whatever else. Like men go to the gym. That's supposed to be like a sanctuary for gym. That's why I said I really support basically women's gym. Y'all need to have women's gyms where y'all can go to a gym where it's number of women there. Y'all got to worry about men staring at you or bothering you or coming over trying to quote unquote help you with the weights or whatever it may be, or be a personal trainer to you, whatever. None of that shit. Go to a women's gym where there's nothing but women there. Even the staff there, people who work there are women. Y'all need more women only gym or whatever else, because men, like I said, men, we have no problem going to a gym where there's none but men. We have no problem going to a gym where there's men and women, but we don't want to be called gym creeps because y'all come in there basically nothing, working out, and you're doing, you know, gym poses with titties out and your ass up in the air and everything, and y'all get mad at us for looking. We don't want to be part of your little viral thing that you're doing while you're recording yourself or whatever it may be. We don't want to be called gym creeps. Y'all are coming here and doing that shit. And it makes men uncomfortable, but y'all don't care about what makes men uncomfortable. And it makes us not want to go to the fucking gym. We should be able to just go to the gym at any hour of the day and be working out or whatever else, and not be like right across from us. Some woman got her ass up in the air and she's basically wearing nothing. And you don't expect us to look. You don't expect us to be like, damn, look at that. That's fucking stupid.
Black Go back to your country. We don't welcome black people. Black people should go. You look so ugly with your dark skin color. Go back to your country. Do you eat watermelon? I'm going to send this to my boyfriend because he's white and he's your master.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's that racism in China I was talking about. Y'all remember a couple of episodes back. Last year, I was talking about how everybody went over to Xiaohongshu. They were on Little Red Book, and everybody went over there. And, you know what I'm saying, everybody was all the American people were so nice to the Chinese people. And the Chinese people were so nice to the black people and all the Americans, whatever else. And, you know, of course, there was black people like me who were asking the question like, what's the racism like over in China? And Chinese people were like, oh, we don't do racism. We know what you're talking about. You can just come over here and have a good time and everything else. But like, black people's experience have said otherwise. But like I said, there are black people who tour China, who go over to China for business, whatever it may be. And they go over there and they get treated like aliens. And of course, there have been some videos of Chinese people admitting this too. You know what I'm saying? I just recently seen a video where there's a Chinese man who admitted that, yeah, Chinese people have never seen black people in real life. So when they see you, they will literally walk up and invade your space. They walk up, touch your hair, touch your skin, want to take pictures with you. They will literally, you know, and they would invade your space. They don't have a concept of like, you know, respecting your space because they've never seen a black person before. And I mentioned before in previous podcasts before, that's fucking racist. You can't say that's not racist that, oh, we just never seen a black person before. Because like the example that I made in the previous podcast was before, I've never met indigenous people from Australia or New Zealand. I've never met minority people. But if I met a minority person, I would not be like, oh, let me go touch your skin to see if it's different than mine. Or let me go touch your hair and be all invading your space and acting fucking weird about this shit because that's fucking racist. You shouldn't do that shit. It's because you've never met a person who is a different race or culture or whatever it may be. You don't get to walk up to them and act fucking weird. But in this case, you have a woman. I know y'all can't see the video, but this is a woman and it looks like an open restaurant in China, whatever else. There's a black person there who just started recording this woman just wilding out on her. There's Chinese people in the background and everybody's just looking and laughing and whatever. But this Chinese woman is calling him a nigga and basically saying, you eat watermelon and go back to your country. All this racist shit. And of course, Chinese people in the background, they're just laughing and giggling, just eating their food and looking over. And the black couple is recording this woman having her little racist rant. And they're doing nothing in the background. They think it's funny. So much for, oh, there's no racism in China. And there's videos like this. This isn't the only video. There's plenty of videos like this of black people going there and experiencing racism. Because they don't want us to be there. They don't like our hair. They don't like our skin. And it doesn't matter if you went there and you learned some Chinese or whatever it may be, or you're just touring the country or whatever else. Like racism is, anti-blackness is global. It's everywhere. This is the reason why in previous podcasts I've asked the question, other black people have asked this question. We have asked, what is the racism like in your country? You know what I'm saying? Like, how common is it if I go to this other country, are they going to be treating black people? Do y'all have black people there? How do y'all treat y'all own black people there? All these type of questions are legit questions. And I don't want to hear from anybody from another country to be like, no, we don't do that type of shit, when I go and find out from black people who have visited those countries and they're posting videos of them, you know, going over there and dealing with racism the way they do here. You go to Japan, you go to Korea, you go to China, you go to Vietnam, you go to these different countries or whatever else, and people are over there being just absolutely fucking racist. Like, we're just like, the fuck? I could have stayed at home if I was going to deal with shit. But just for the people on the Chinese people who are on the Xiaohongshu, the app, on the Little Red Book app, just to be like, oh, we don't deal with racism. Because I had posted in one of my previous podcasts, there's several clips where there's a woman who kept talking about, we don't do racism over here. We got like 56 different ethnicities of different Asian people here, blah, blah, blah. They kept going to this whole little thing about, we don't do racism here. We respect everybody's race and culture and all this type of shit. Clearly, there are Asian people who go on these very racist tirades towards black people. It's not because you've never seen one before, because clearly this woman was just going through all the different racist stereotypes. She's like, I don't like your skin, I don't like your hair. You eat watermelon, go back to your country, you look ugly with your face and skin and your lips. Like, this could have gone on and on and on. And this is not something that any black person wants to deal with going to another country. We just want to go tour your country, see how it is, whatever else. We don't want to be dealing with any of that shit. We don't want to go to Italy. We don't want to go to China. We don't want to go to any place where we're going to be dealing with this type of shit. We get enough of that shit here at home. Here at home in America, we go to the wrong place. That's the type of shit we deal with. But that shit happens. And that's the reason why we asked before we even book a flight to go over there and go tour your cities. What kind of racism are we dealing with? You know what I'm saying? If we had to put it on the scale, where is it? Is it on 10? Is it on 7? Is it on 2? What is it on? Because anti-blackness is global. I just want to know exactly, what am I dealing with?
You know, y'all may not like this, but that white lady that called that baby the N-word wouldn't have raised that much fucking money if y'all would stop recording and just smack the fuck out of these people. All this recording, all this talking when you can just me. Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, a while back, there was a white woman named Shiloh. She was at the park, whatever else, and basically a little 5-year-old autistic black boy had, I guess, went in her bag, and this woman immediately started calling this little boy a nigga. And she was recorded by a Somali immigrant. He's at the park too, and he recorded her and asked her, "Why'd you call this little black boy a nigga?" And she said, "Well, if he act like one, then I'm gonna call him one." And she flipped him off and called him a nigga, and just kept saying it to every black person who was there, just nigga everywhere, all that type of shit. It was being recorded. She later, when shit went viral and all that type of shit, and she became a well-known person for being racist towards a 5-year-old black autistic kid. Says, "Oh, it's freedom of speech. I should be able to say what I want to say." And then they flipped it around, trying to make it seem like the Somali immigrant is the focus of this whole thing. Like, because they love to just focus on immigration and why is this immigrant here, blah blah blah. My whole thing is, just like the clip said, she would not be able to raise all this money and get all this attention and flip the scenario around on somebody else and whatever else if the parents of that child would have knocked her the fuck out. I think in some situations when you're looking at people being racist, instead of y'all recording it and trying to get a viral moment and get all this attention to it, take action. Take action. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you, as the grandparent of a black autistic child who's about the same age as this child, if anybody were to call my 5-year-old child a fucking nigga, I would knock them the fuck out. I'm not taking it on my phone, I'm not recording it. I'm not going to question you. Why did you call my grandson a nigga and all this type of shit? I'm knocking you the fuck out. You will never be able to say that word correctly ever again, because I'm breaking your jaw. And sometimes y'all got to stop recording. I know this was a Somali man who thought that he was going to go ahead and do something about this, but my thing is, where were the fucking parents? Where were the parents? And I don't mean afterwards, after the fact. I mean like in this viral moment where this little 5-year-old autistic boy is being called a nigga. Because number one, if this child had went and touched your stuff or whatever else, why would you jump straight to racism? Number two, it's a child. A child walks over and touches your bag, your purse, whatever else. That is not how you respond to that shit. You could have went and found the parents and said, your child was touching my bag, whatever else. You went straight to, it's a nigga, blah, 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 and went to this whole thing and started flipping people off on it. You picked the right ones. Couldn't have been me. Couldn't have been me. I'm not reaching for my phone. I'm not recording shit. I'm knocking you the fuck out. And that really has to be the response to shit, because sometimes people will see white people being racist and doing all types of shit. You will see non-black people being racist and doing all types of stuff to black people. And y'all want to take out your phone and start recording. Take action. I've seen videos where, it'll be some sort of club or whatever else, and here goes some white guys being racist or some black woman or whatever else, and what do black people do? We take out our phones and start recording or whatever else, and instead of walking over there and defending that black woman and knocking white dudes the fuck out. What are y'all doing? Y'all want to go live and be like, oh, look at this crazy shit that's going on. He shouldn't be saying that type of stuff and treating her like that. What do you mean? Go handle that situation. And I think that if that was the case, if black people just immediately responded to racism like that, you know what I'm saying, with hands, that shit would stop. Because I've seen these videos of like the Karens who go to McDonald's where it's, mostly black people working it or whatever, and throw their fucking fits, and they'll open their food and throw their burger at the people who work there. And you only do that shit with black folks. And then when they come around the counter and they get aggressive with you, now you want to play victim and all this type of shit like that. But you go there with that type of mentality. If you start knocking people the fuck out, you start just putting hands on people, that shit will stop immediately. I've seen another video where I guess it was a grocery store or whatever else. There's carts or whatever. They're putting the carts away, and two white guys are standing there, and one guy's talking this shit. He's like, saying, get the fuck out of my face or I'll knock you the fuck out. Black guy said, yeah, okay, let's do that. He squared up with the guy, and one of his friends, the other guy who was with the white guy, he's like, nope, let's get up out of here. But he was like, yeah, you talk that shit, let's do it. Because what you're not going to do is make threats to me and tell me what you're going to do to me. And that goes for any type of like bigotry at all. If you just put hands on people, if you just, that shit will stop. Stop recording people. Stop trying to get viral moments. Stop trying to go live and shit like that. Put hands on people. When people are being fucking insufferable bigots, put hands on them. Knock them the fuck out. When a motherfucker get tired of getting their jaw broken or getting put in a rear naked choke or whatever else, that shit will stop. When people know we respond with hands. that we're not going to be the bigger person and walk it off or record you or some other shit like that, give them hands. When I punch you in your fucking throat, you'll stop doing that shit. You'll know that for the next time you think about opening your mouth and saying something, you know what I'm saying, some bigoted comment towards somebody else. You'll know to stop doing that. That's how you resolve bigotry. Stop going and recording and talking shit through or being a bigger person, all that type of shit. It has never fucking worked. Respond with hands. It stops the bigotry.
Trump stated recently how trans women can take all the hormones they want, they can have all the surgery that they want, and they'll never become a woman.
No matter how many surgeries you have, chemicals you inject, if you're born with male DNA in every cell of the body, never be.
And I don't understand what people are so outraged for, because what he said is the absolute truth. Trans women alike know this, that we transition to look and present to the world as a woman. But we know biologically, no matter what we do, chemically, surgically wise, we will never be biological women. And that is okay. See, there's nothing wrong with being trans. And I think for some reason, there are specific trans people who do not like to hear that word. They don't like to be associated with being trans. They think it's derogatory. It's just, they transition to be a woman and that's it. And the trans somehow drops off after they transition. And it doesn't matter if you've gone all the way and you've had bottom surgery and everything, you're still a trans woman. Deep down, you will always be trans. You should be proud of the journey that you've taken to get where you are. And all this is doing and all that Trump has said is truly factual. So getting upset over something that is factual seems to be an insecurity that you have to deal with on your end that does not have anything to do with Trump. It has everything to do with how you feel about yourself, and that speaks volume.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do not agree with too many things that y'all president be saying, but this is one of the things that I fucking agree with. The woman speaking right now is trans Brandy. Brandy has been making these little posts. She has talked about certain things affecting the trans community and things like that, and she agrees with Trump. And Trump, on this one, he's right about this. Like I said, I don't agree with too many things that he says, but he's right about that. Nothing you do is going to make you a woman. And that you don't need to drop off the trans in front of your name or whatever else. You will always be trans. You'll always be transsexual. You'll always be a trans, transformer, basically. But, you know what I'm saying, nothing you do chemically or physically or anything is going to go ahead and try to make you into something that you're not. And I just think that this is the delusion that people who are outside of y'all community don't seem to understand. It's like y'all will go and do all of this to transition yourself into something or whatever else and expect everybody to go along with it. If you want to dress like a woman, look like a woman, go get bottom surgery, get your dick cut off and everything else. You want to do all this shit to simulate a woman, that's all you are, a simulation of a woman. You are still trans. You're still not a woman. And y'all shouldn't be offended by that. Y'all should not have this delusion that you think you really are woman and all that type of shit like that. And we're not being transphobic by stating this out loud. This is a trans woman stating this out loud. Because I know just Trump saying that is going to be like inflaming a whole bunch of people, getting y'all mad or whatever. This is a trans woman saying that. She understands that. No matter how passable you are, no matter how many surgeries you get, hormones, surgeries, everything else, never going to make you something you're not. It's not going to happen.
Trying to unpack is why you believe the transsexual experience is not one that deserves to be validated.
Yeah, and I'm similarly trying to unpack why you don't believe Rachel Dolezal's lived experience is one that should
No,
be
I do. I understand, and that's the conflation where you're trying to unpack one topic by putting up
exactly
another.
The same.
But we can't ask why a rhinoceros isn't an elephant. We're talking about an elephant, and the elephant in the room is that you have a skewed perception, in my opinion, about a transsexual experience. And I'm simply asking, why do you feel like it doesn't deserve to be validated if that's how the person feels? Because you know what you guys do? And I'm going to say you guys that have these strong opinions.
What I just, I'm one person sitting here.
These strong opinions. No, it's people that you represent because you have very strong opinions. And what happens when it comes to the LGBT community is you'll conflate pedophilia by using children and gay, which are two different things.
I'm not conflating here. Your argument is that if someone who is not clearly being born with a penis, for example, decides that in their lived experience, actually, no, they should have had a vagina. And so they're going to start living like they have a vagina and getting cosmetic procedures like they have a vagina. That suddenly I should respect that. I'm saying, okay, keep it consistent and say the exact same thing about Rachel Dolezal, and you hesitate there. For some reason, you don't want to do that. And so,
no, I said she was crazy.
Exactly. So you have to keep it ideologically consistent. That's all I'm saying. But I'm saying to you, I'm consistent. Rachel is not a black woman, and a trans person can't just wake up one day and decide to be a woman. A man can't wake up one day and decide to be a woman because of his lived experience. I'm sorry that I'm consistent, but you have to figure out why you're not.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Candace Owens talking against Jason Lee. They're having a debate about transgender people, basically. So basically, I like Candace Owens. I watch her show. I listen to her podcast and things like that. I think she's a very beautiful, intelligent woman. She's having this debate with Jason Lee, and basically she's saying just be ideologically consistent. That's all she's saying. Be ideologically consistent, because logic doesn't seem to be in the room when people are talking about like transgender people at all. And that's all she was trying to bring up with this whole thing, is that basically she brought up the example of Rachel Dolezal, who was a white woman pretending to be black. She was with the NAACP, all that type of shit like that. Just wakes up one day and decides she wants to pretend to be black or whatever. And they're just like, well, people can't just wake up and pretend to be something they're not, and everybody else has to go along with it. Now, I will say this. There is a difference between transitioning from man to woman and transitioning from white to black, because gender is binary. You're either a man or a woman. And for the trans people, you are a simulation of a man or a simulation of a woman, because you transition, but you are one or the other. But then when it comes to race is an actual spectrum. There are people who are black who don't look black and things like that. So she's basically saying that basically if we're going to say a person who has never been a woman a day in their life, never been female a day in their life, and just wake up and start transitioning, whatever else, we're all supposed to go along with you saying that you're a woman. The same way Rachel Dolezal woke up one day and decided she wanted to just be black, and then we're all just supposed to be like, oh, I guess you're black now. And she's absolutely right. If you're going to do that, be ideologically consistent across the board, because it doesn't make sense for Rachel Dolezal to call herself black. In the same way, it doesn't make for a man who wake up one day and decide he wants to transition to a woman. I think what people miss is that people do not have to go along with your delusion of yourself at all. Now, if people decide to go along with what you call yourself, that's fine. I'm the type of person, I'm respectful. If you want to be called by a woman's name, if you want to be called by she, her pronouns or whatever else, I don't care personally. It doesn't cost me anything. So I'll be respectful and call you by whatever name you want to be called. I'll call you by whatever pronouns you want to be called, whatever else. I've done the same thing with people's race. If you're mixed biracial, whatever else, I'm going to call you whatever you identify as. If you say that you're black, whatever else, that's fine with me. I don't care. But I don't have to go along with that shit. Neither does anybody else. So for y'all to be like somebody has misgendered you because they called you something that you're not, they didn't misgender you. They did not misgender you at all. They called you exactly what you look like, a man wearing makeup and a dress. And all she's saying is be ideologically consistent. That if you can transition from being one gender to another, then people can transition to just about anything. I want to bring up the case of a German woman. It was a German woman named Martina Big. And Martina Big, basically, she took melanin injections. She got her hair changed. She basically got contacts that darkened her eyes. This was a German woman. She was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed German woman who decided she wanted to be black one day. She got surgery to make her tits bigger. She darkened her skin. She changed texture of her hair. And she now goes under the name of Malika Kubwa. Malika Kubwa, an African name. And she now lives in Africa and identifies as a black woman. She has been on numerous shows where basically she just looks like a black woman with a German accent. She looks crazy because if you look at the before and after, she just went through all these surgeries and everything to make her a black woman. And she just says she wants to be black woman. She has a very heavy, thick German accent, and she wants to be a black African woman. I personally don't agree with that shit, and I'm not going to call somebody who decided to transition to be a black woman to just be a black woman. It doesn't make any sense. When it comes to this whole transition thing, whether we're talking about gender or race or anything, it's all fun and games until black people want to do this shit. When black people want to play, when we want to do this shit, when black people want to identify as being white, this shit will all get shut the fuck down. Let's be fucking real. The day black people are like, oh, if a man can just identify as being a woman and, all this type of shit, then black people are like, oh, well, then I identify as being white and I want to be treated as white and all that type of shit. When we want to get our IDs changed to say that we're white, we want to be treated like white people in society and everything else, all this shit's going to stop. This shit is going on because this is not black people doing this shit. We're not doing this shit. We're not doing what Rachel Dolezal is doing. We're not doing what Martina Big is doing. I mean, with the exception of like Sammy Sosa But even then, he still looks black. Even though he bleached his skin and all, he straightened that hair out and everything, yeah, he still looks black. Michael Jackson tried to do it. Still black. But when black people in mass start doing this shit and we start saying whether we fully transition or not, that we identify as being white and we want to be called white and all this type of shit like that, all this shit's going to shut the fuck down. And this is the reason why there have been so many videos of people mocking trans people by being like, hey, I identify as a fucking toaster. I identify as a fucking German Shepherd. All this type of shit because you've never been a woman in your day in your fucking life, if that's what you identify as. And that's fine if some people want to respect you by calling you by a woman's name, female pronouns and shit like that. If we want to call you a woman or whatever else. But none of us have to call you any of that shit. We don't have to do any of that shit. That shit is fucking ridiculous. Nobody has to call you any of that shit. We're just being nice. We don't have to do none of that shit. But in the case of when it happens with Candace Owens talking to Jason Lee and everything, she basically pointed out that if you're not going to call Rachel Dolezal black, and if you're not going to call Martina Big black, then why the hell do you call a man who's transitioned to be a woman a woman? Doesn't make sense. And there are some people out there who don't even bother to fully transition, like this Lily Tino person who's been making these videos or whatever else. Man's voice, basically just like a cross-dresser. Yeah, y'all out here calling this person a woman and everything else. All this trans shit is really getting out of control, and you can't speak on it or say anything about it without people being like, "Oh, you're being transphobic, you're hating on the trans community or whatever." No, I'm not hating on any of y'all. I couldn't care less. My whole thing is that, okay, like I said, it's fun and games till black people want to join in. When black people say that, oh, we're white now, we want to identify as white because we want to go ahead and be treated as white, you know what I'm saying, in the society and everything else, all this shit's going to stop and shut the fuck down. Then nobody's identifying as nothing. And that's one of the reasons why people like y'all president or whatever else wants to go ahead and shut all this shit down. They want to make sure that you can't put your new gender identification on IDs and shit like that and passports and stuff like that, because that's where it's going. All we got to do is get some skin bleaching or whatever else, or just straighten our hair and be like, well, I identify as white. You're going to treat me as a white man in society. Black women say, oh, you're going to treat me as a white woman in society. All this shit going to stop. It's going to shut the fuck down. People are not going to be doing that shit no more. Oh, no. Black people can't play.
I gave birth to my son and transitioned 10 years later.
My mom became my dad. When I was younger, I called him my mom. I started calling him my dad when I was like probably in middle school. He's always there for me whenever I need something. When he went through his process, I was 11 years old.
How did your dad first broach the topic of transitioning with you?
He asked me how I'd feel about it, and I said, if you want to be my dad, you can be my dad because you already dress like a boy anyways. And don't let anyone bring you down. Just do what you want to do.
We went through counseling for 5.5 years, and I think it's very important for a lot of trans people in general to put their children in counseling, to get them more understanding of what they're getting themselves into, because not everybody is going to accept you right away. It was best for him to give me the opportunity to have a choice, or him have a choice, and together we both made one, and his choice was first, and then I accepted it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the bullshit I'll be talking about when it comes to that type of community and shit. So in this clip, you got a teenage boy whose mom basically transitioned to become a man when this young man was about 11 years old. In middle school, basically, his mom wants to be his dad now and all that type of shit like that. The shit that's crazy about this whole situation is that, I know y'all can't see the video, but this young man, if you see the before and after picture of the mom who transitioned to be a man, this young man looks like his mama. And now that his mama has transitioned to be a man and all that type of shit, basically this young man and his mom who transitioned to be a man, it look like twins. And if you look at the young man's face, he's very uncomfortable with all this shit. He's not cool with this shit. I know y'all can probably hear it a little bit in his voice. He's not cool with none of this shit. He's just going along with it because that's his mama. And he's like, well, I guess mama wants to be daddy and all that type of shit. My question is, where is the dad? The real actual dad? This is why we need men in the household. Where are the men? Where's the father of this child? This shit is absurd. So out of nowhere, you're just like, oh, well, you know what? This child's 11 years old. I have a child for the last 11 years. Now you want to go ahead and transition from being a woman and a mother to being, you know what I'm saying, a man. Now you want to have this child call you their dad now, even though this child actually has a dad. Where is the dad at? Where is the father in this whole situation? What's going on? And clearly this child at 11 years old, when you first start transitioning, it didn't make any fucking sense, and that a child shouldn't be okay with that. But then again, they're a young person, child. They don't understand what's really going the fuck on or whatever else. They're just figuring that's my mom and I have to accept however she's doing or whatever she's doing. I just think it's wrong. This has got to be some form of fucking abuse or some shit. What I don't understand is why people will go ahead and y'all be in a relationship. Y'all be in a relationship. Y'all get married. Y'all have kids. Y'all be 15, 20 years into a relationship, marriage, have kids, everything else. And then decide one day y'all want to go ahead and be LGBTQ. Y'all want to go ahead and identify as being the opposite gender. Y'all want to be gay now. Why do y'all do that dumbass shit? Because just when people outside your community start thinking, okay, well, maybe y'all just born like this, maybe y'all made like that, maybe that's just how y'all are, or whatever else, and all that type of shit, y'all advocate for this is not something that's a choice. It's just how y'all born, how y'all made. Why the entire fuck do y'all be waiting until y'all get married, have a gang of kids, and decide y'all want to be gay and transition to the opposite gender? Makes no fucking sense. If y'all was like this the entire fucking time, y'all would have never done none of that shit. Now, I just want to bring up a case real quick because this shit is really irking the fuck out of me, because y'all know who Bruce Jenner is, who's now being called Caitlyn Jenner. This man is 75 years old. 75 years old, ladies and gentlemen. This man transitioned 10 years ago in 2015. He was 65 when he decided he wanted to become Caitlyn Jenner. That's how, you know how stupid that is? This man was married, had a gang of kids. This man was a fucking Olympian and all that type of shit. Now you want to decide you want to transition to be a woman and be gay and all this type of weird ass shit. Why? Why at 65? Makes no sense. It just makes it seem like y'all motherfuckers who be a part of that community or whatever else, y'all just make up the rules as y'all go. But then when it comes to people outside your community calling you out on this type of shit, you're just like, no, y'all was born like this, y'all was made like this, and all that type of silly ass shit. How? When clearly this woman who has a young man right now, who at 11 years old, you just start transitioning and dressing like a man and everything else. Now you want to go ahead and be the father now, and you ask this child at 11 years old. An 11-year-old don't understand what the fuck is going on. You gonna ask an 11-year-old, oh, would you be okay if I be your dad instead of your mom? This has got to be some type of child abuse. It's got to be. It's got to be some type of emotional and psychological abuse. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And I hope y'all find this video, because that video basically shows that young man is incredibly uncomfortable with this whole situation. This is why we need men in the household. This is why we need men around, because where are the men in this child's life? Where's his dad? Where's his uncle? Where are the men in his life? Because this shit is ridiculous that your mom transitioned to be your dad now. You the mama and the daddy now. Stupid. Dumb. And somebody's got to say it. I know people want to talk about this shit. I don't want to call this shit dumb or whatever else. It's stupid. It's fucking dumb. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been my show. I'm going to go back over a couple of things, ladies and gentlemen, because certain things need to be said over again, ladies and gentlemen. I need to reiterate a few things, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking about simulation theory. Do we live in a simulation? I personally believe, yes, we do live in a fucking simulation, because nothing fucking makes sense. Everything that's going on. I understand some black people are mad about simulation theory, saying that, oh, well, you know, with everything that people are going through with the suffering and people dying, everything that's got to be real, whatever else. But the world doesn't make any fucking sense. America doesn't make any fucking sense. And it makes more sense if this was some sort of simulation, a game someone's playing, someone's writing prompts or whatever else. And I'm bringing it up because I played the clips about the Google Veo3, which these prompts are basically talking as if they're sentient. Somebody's putting prompts in there for the AI or the Google Veo3, and basically they sound like they're aware that they're prompts and they're aware that they're some sort of in a simulation or whatever else. And basically how technology is advancing the way it is, it has been advancing for the last 40 fucking years. We don't know if 5 years from now this shit gets so realistic that we can't tell the difference between reality and fantasy. And if that's the case or whatever else, who's to say that we're all some sort of advanced fucking simulation for a higher being or a fourth dimensional being or whatever the fuck it may be? Are we in the Matrix? Are we in a Star Trek holodeck or whatever else? We don't know. We got to admit that the world is fucked up. It's weird. Something is different about this fucking world. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking about competing for citizenship. This shit was real. This was in the Wall Street Journal. And basically, they were talking about having immigrants compete for citizenship. The Department of Homeland Security was talking about that shit. And I think that's dumb to have them competing in the gladiator games or some sort of pageantry game, showcase, whatever it may be. They're going to put these people through it. I personally believe that if they greenlight this as a show or whatever else, they're going to either have them risking their lives or they're going to have them being humiliated in order to try to get citizenship. And that's a no-go. And that just shows how unserious the American government is. Not serious at all about anything. That's fucking dumb. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about the 30-year-old black woman from Atlanta who was a mother and a nurse who was declared brain dead because she came in there with severe headaches and they didn't properly do their fucking job by running some actual scans and blood work and everything else to find out what's going on with her. Turns out she had blood clots in her head or whatever, was rendered brain dead soon after, but she was pregnant, 9 weeks pregnant. And basically they are keeping her in some sort of suspended state where basically she's brain dead but kept on machines, and she has to carry this child to a point where they can go ahead and deliver the child. My whole point I was making about that is that it is unethical and immoral. It is wrong for the people to do that. So the doctors, nurses, everybody who's in the situation who are just letting this shit go, basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all are the most evil people in the fucking world because just because something is legal, it's the law. Law says you got to do this or do that or whatever. If it's illegal and unethical and unmoral, it is not right or whatever else, you do not have to follow that law. You do not have to follow that law. We have worldwide, but especially in America, we have had all sorts of laws that are wrong. They are unethical and immoral. Slavery. A lot of laws they made in this country or whatever else were unethical and immoral and just flat out plain fucking wrong. You don't have to follow those laws because somebody made it legal. So the fact you have this many people who are just like, you're going to go along with it knowing this is damn well wrong. And then they're just keeping the family out of the decision making because they don't want her to be on basically life support. They don't want the child to they want to basically terminate the pregnancy and everything else. But they're making the family pay the bill. They're going to be in debt for the rest of their life because by the time that this shit gets to the point where they can go ahead and the child is viable, where they can go ahead and deliver this child or whatever else, they're going to incur a bill that's going to be somewhere around $300,000. They're going to be in debt for the rest of their fucking lives. It's just wrong. It's experimentation. And they're just doing that shit. It has nothing to do with the fucking law because it's wrong and they can just unplug that shit and call it a day. Somebody's got to do what's fucking right. Somebody who works there has got to do what's fucking right. They got to be like, hey, this is wrong. I'm not going to stand for this shit. Even if it costs me my fucking job, I'll go work somewhere else. The doctors, the nurse, somebody. How the fuck do y'all take an oath to say to do no wrong, but y'all are literally doing no wrong? How do y'all take an oath to say to do no harm? This is literally doing harm to somebody. It's just wrong. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking about why do broke people want to go ahead and have kids in this economy with no money, no support, bad economy, everything is wrong. You know damn well you don't have $2,000 in your checking account. You know you don't have fucking $7,000 in your savings or any of that type of shit. You know you don't have the type of support structure. Go ahead and take care of that child. Like I said before, having children is rich privilege. If you have not set yourself up to where you want to go ahead and plan to have a pregnancy and have a structure for that child to grow up and everything else, that's just wrong. You're selfish and you're doing dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, financially, you need to be able to support that child. Second of all, you need to have a support structure to raise that child, to make sure that child has the best possible life you can provide for them. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about hoes at the gym. Men, like I said, when it comes to the gym and everything, men have gone to the gym. They just want to go ahead and work out. It's supposed to be a safe space for men to go. Men want to go there and relax. Basically, we want to go ahead and put our headphones on. We want to work out. We want to go there where we don't have no issues or no problems or whatever else. But women have invaded this space by going there and basically nothing. Basically see through attire, and you're doing all types of workout activity where you're basically got your ass up in the air. You're showing your whole camel toe and your nipples and everything else. And men are distracted. We're staring. And then y'all are recording in your viral moment and saying men are creeps and men are bothering you. And it's getting to the point where y'all are in there trying to work out and we just don't spot you at all. We don't, you know what I'm saying? Y'all are struggling with some weights or whatever, or we want to, help you out with trying to do the leg press correctly. We don't even do any of that shit because men don't want to bother you because we want to do any of that shit. My suggestion is you need to open up more women's gyms. I want to dress the way you want to and act the way you want to. Go to a women's gym or whatever else where everybody, including the staff, is all women. That would solve it. Just like I said before, men, we don't have a problem going to a gym where there's nothing but men. We don't have a problem going with the men and women, but we don't want to go there and be called creeps because we're doing what comes naturally to men. We're going to look. You know what I'm saying? We're going to look. You knew what you were doing when you came in there dressed like the way you are, doing the exercises that you're doing. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, racism in China. You know, a while back, we're talking about on Zhao Hongshu on Little Red Book. You know what I'm saying? Everybody went over there and talked about how nice the Chinese people are and everything else. Not all of y'all are nice. Some of y'all are, some of y'all are not. There is racism in China. Y'all swear up and down there was none. And that's not how y'all function and everything else. But clearly there's a bunch of videos coming out where black people get treated. We get treated with disrespect. We get treated with racism. Or y'all just treat us like fucking aliens. Y'all disrespect us by basically invading our space. In our space, walk up, you touch our hair, you touch our skin, you basically just you're bothering us and all that type of shit like that, which you would never do to another Chinese person or another Asian person. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, a lady at the park who had her kid with her, and a black autistic kid walk up and touched her bag and everything else, immediately started yelling racial slurs at that child. And a Somali immigrant recorded the whole thing or whatever else, and that went viral. Basically, stop recording shit. You know, maybe this guy who was a Somali immigrant wasn't thinking like that or whatever else. But the parents of that black child who the white woman was yelling racial slurs at, just walk up and knock her the fuck out. That's wrong. It's stupid. Like I said, you know what I'm saying, as a parent of a 5-year-old black autistic child, if somebody did that shit to my child or whatever else, I would not grab my phone and record nothing and knock you the fuck out. And I think that's how you stop bigotry. You just gotta stop, you know what I'm saying, people dead in their tracks. Stop recording shit. Stop trying to have a viral moment. Stop going live. Stop trying to get people to look at shit or whatever else. Stop questioning and asking them, why did you call that child a nigga? Just knock them the fuck out. When you respond with hands, people will listen. They will understand. Oh, okay. You gotta start charging people. Yeah, you can say the word nigga, but we'll charge you for it. You can act any way you want to, but we're gonna charge you for it. When we start putting hands on you, you will stop doing that shit. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, there was a man who got 44 years for a crime he didn't commit. And this has happened numerous times to black people all throughout our fucking history of black people either being false claims from, you know what I'm saying, white people that we did something that we didn't do, or planting drugs on us, whatever else. And we either gotten hung, we either gotten murdered, we either gotten falsely incarcerated for the rest of our lives. In this case, this man had 44 years, 1977 to 2022. He was accused of, you know what I'm saying, essaying a person with a deadly weapon and all this type of shit. Turns out it never fucking happened. But hey, the prison system got 44 years out of it. Do these people feel any type of way about this shit? No, because they're not real people. They don't have any type of real fucking emotions. They just did this shit just to be doing to a black person. Black folks, we gotta be more careful out there. Real. I don't understand this day and age why we trust any of them. I don't get it. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, a group of friends are basically talking about pickleball. They were at this cabin. They were doing some camping out there or whatever else. One person stood up and interrupted them and started talking about how he wanted to murder all of them. And basically, he changed his mind because he started to like all the people there. And he claimed at the last second, oh, it's a prank. It's not that serious. Like I said, he picked the right group of people to do that type of shit. Because it really is that serious. It's not funny. And basically, if it was any other group of people, two things might have happened. One, we would have got the fuck up out of there. Or two, we'd have knocked them the fuck out. Like, what do you mean you was going to murder all of them? We can't trust you at all. We're not going to go up here and have this camping shit. None of that type of shit. Y'all should have stopped him. Y'all should have grabbed him, tied him the fuck up, and be like, oh, no, he made threats to murder all of us. We don't play that shit around here. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, there was a woman, Trans Brandy, who agrees with Trump. Trump made a statement basically saying that no matter what you do, you are not going to become a woman. He was referring to trans people. Basically, if you're a man who transitions to be perceived as a woman and everything else, doing voice training and doing hormones and doing surgeries and everything else, it still does not make you a woman. Nothing you do is going to make you a woman. And basically, she was agreeing with Trump. And like I said, there are not too many things I agree with Trump, but I agree with him on that one. He's absolutely fucking right. That shit's got to stop. Next thing, we talked about Candace Owens in a debate with Jason Lee, basically saying, Candace Owens is basically saying, be ideologically consistent. If you're going to say that a man could just transition to be a woman and everything else, and you can say that a white person can transition to be a black person can transition to be a white person, blah, blah, blah. And she gave the example of Rachel Dolezal, who basically is a white woman who claimed to be black and everything else. And she was part of the NAACP and everything, and tried to trick everybody into believing that she was a black woman. And I gave the example of the German woman, Martina Big, who was basically from Germany. Who was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman who changed her name to Malika Bupa. and now lives in Africa as a black woman with a German accent. She was numerous shows, they interviewed her and everything else, and she says, "Oh, I'm black now," because she got melanin injections, changed her hair texture, wears dark contacts and everything else, got her skin darkened. She just says, "Oh, well, I guess I'm black now." That's not how this shit works. That's how none of this shit works. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, there was a mom of a teenage, I believe this man was a young man, probably 18 or 19. Mom of a teenage boy who transitioned to be a man and everything else, and now identifies as the mom and the dad. This shit is nuts to me because basically I don't understand how people can go ahead and either get married and have kids or get in relationships and have kids and wait till your child is, 10, 15 years old and be like, you know what, now you want to change genders and you want to be you want to be LGBTQ shit or whatever else. Makes no sense. Clearly from this video, this young man, he is embarrassed. He feels some type of way. But at a young age, at 11 years old, that's when his mom started transitioning and talking about she want to be a man and all this type of weird ass shit. And I guess that's his mom. He loved his mom. He just went along with it and shit. I think that's fucking abuse. It's got to be a form of fucking abuse. I gave the example of Bruce Jenner, who's now being called Caitlyn Jenner. And Caitlyn Jenner is now 75 years old and started transitioning 10 years ago in 2015 at the age of 65. This is a person who was married, had a gang of kids, got some grandkids now, and was an Olympian and everything else. You don't wait till you fucking 65 to be like, now you want to transition. You know why? Because that's fucking dumb. And that fights against y'all argument that this is how y'all been the entire fucking time. Because some of y'all swear that this is not a choice. That this is how y'all been the entire fucking time. And if this is not a choice and it's how you've been the entire fucking time, then you don't get married, have a gang of kids and all that type of shit and decide now you want to go ahead and transition. You would have been like this the entire time. That's really got people looking at y'all crazy. Like y'all could just decide one day that y'all want to be gay or decide one day y'all want to go ahead and be a woman, whatever it may be. You just decide one day that you want to be, asexual or whatever the fuck y'all want to decide as a part of whatever y'all community is doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's really fighting against y'all argument that people are just born that way. And I'm not saying people are not born that way, but what I'm saying is clearly something is wrong here. Because some of y'all really are just choosing to do that shit. A lot of us have met studs who have kids. And at some point, they weren't a stud. They were just a regular ass woman who, I guess had difficulties with a man. They got kids or whatever else. Now you want to be a stud. Now you want to date women and everything like that. Makes no sense. Makes no fucking sense. Either you were like that the entire time and this is who you really are, or you have choices. You could just choose to do that type of shit. And like with the whole thing that happened with Candace Owens and Jason Lee, basically be ideologically consistent. It's got to be consistent across the board. It's one or the other. Either it's a choice or it's not a choice. Because it's looking like y'all can just decide on a whim what y'all want to do and stuff like that, and it just makes no fucking sense. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been my show, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all can contact me at doomstark7@gmail.com. That is doomstark7@gmail.com. I want all of you to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I want y'all to follow me on my YouTube channel. I want y'all to go follow. I want y'all to follow me on my Spotify. Give me a 5-star rating if you enjoyed the show. And ladies and gentlemen, I will get back at y'all, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
Productions.